Official time. So let me capture all the reminders as folks continue to pop on for our 60-minute slow flow yoga session. I'm Jen. Thanks for hopping on live. If you're joining after the fact via recording, thanks for inviting me into your day. I have my yoga blocks, a light set of dumbbells as always, could provide a couple of opportunities as we move, especially on the ground through the hips. I'm not using props a lot today, but they're just great to have. If you like having a blanket, a pillow, when we know we're coming to rest, anything that you'd like to have in your space, please feel free. We're going to move through full body, a little shorter standing sequence with a bit more lingering opportunities when we're upright. And I'll give you all the lowdown as we continue to move. Good morning, Lisa. I'm going to go ahead and press play on some music. And as we do, we start always lying on our back, recognizing that transition for yourself as you come to arrive. Good morning, Courtney C. Taking time to connect in, to notice just the sensations in your body as you come to be here on your mat. Good morning, Gary, Aubrey. So good to see you all. Taking your time to arrive. If this is kind of your first set of movements this morning, if you've enjoyed kind of a lingering start to the day, maybe you've already been up and moving and about, let yourself even just take in that bit of information. Where have you been? And then bringing yourself to be here with that acknowledgement. Noticing where we just were, and then being here present with our breath is a way to arrive and take note of us right here, this moment, this day, for this practice. How are you? Good morning, Raquel. Sometimes that's even the power of this practice, I find, is just giving myself, good morning, Regina, the space and the permission to just notice how I'm doing. Really, truly. I don't have to walk by anyone who's going to say, hey, how are you? Fine, I'm fine. None of those niceties. We get to be exactly how we are. And let that be a frame for how you move in your body today. As you're arriving, taking in that information with movement or stillness, maybe with a few breaths of eyes closed. Inhale and exhale. As I've been saying lately, that is the only thing that is not optional for this 60 minutes is breath. Everything else, I'm going to give you lots of ideas and suggestions. And let's start with some of those. I'm just going to make sure my lower back feels fairly comfortable as we then will shift to arms. So I'm going to plant my feet, knees bent, and just sway a little bit side to side. I'm almost using this more like a lower back massage, kind of just shifting hip bone to hip bone, but you could let the knees drop more dramatically side to side. Let your upper body be just really loose here. And then we will take that shift to the arms. I'm going to reposition myself. Wendy, Robin, so good to see you. Planting your feet comfortably, knees bent, arms out to the sides like a T. Can you kind of wiggle your shoulder blades a little bit so they're pressing into your back so your neck feels long? So sometimes there's like an accidental kind of scrunch up of the shoulders here. And I'm going to alternate sweeping arms across. So right arm will go up and over like it's going to stack over left. I'm going to turn my head to the left as I do this. I'm going to unwind back to a T, look at the ceiling, and then switch. And I am lifting up my opposite shoulder as I reach across, but I'm choosing to keep my hips level. So this for me then is more of a rotation of just my upper back and my head and my neck, but you can let the hips shift a little bit if that starts to feel welcome. Take a few more rounds there. And if it feels lovely to linger somewhere as you take that rotation and you just want to hold for a few breaths, feel free. We did start with the right arm, so maybe the next time you're done with your left, we'll come back to the center. I'm going to sway the legs just one more time, and then I'm going to start to take the legs up toward the ceiling pretty early on. We do this quite often, but sometimes we prep a little bit first, and I'm just wondering how this feels to take your legs up right away. You can keep your knees bent, you can sway. I'm going to actually extend and bend the legs a couple of times, letting there be this kind of weight into the hip bones, the backs of the shoulders that feels, again, heavy in a really great way. Take a few more movements here that are feeling lovely as we find some space, and then we'll start to focus really more one leg at a time. Let's bend the left leg, set the left foot down, keep the right leg up, arms gently by your sides, or maybe you bring them to kind of rest by your rib cage. I'm going to lower and lift that right leg. The reason I like bringing hands to my ribs is because I can feel and notice kind of where that energy is in keeping my back stable. I recommend taking this lower and lift really slowly. Let it actually be a way to create some energy at your hip flexor without momentum. And then when you're ready, really breathing through here, let's lower the leg really slowly until that right leg fully lands on the ground. Take a breath to let yourself melt. I'm going to step my left foot a little wider. The knee is still bent, and I'm going to sway my legs side to side. My hands came back to my sides, kind of resting on the floor. And then from here, let's lift up that left bent knee. So knee might come in toward the chest. You might start to interlace hands at shin or back of thigh, but let's just move it around. Or let's give it a hug and a hold. As you know, we'll find moments often where we're moving or shifting, but if you ever feel that desire to just stop, you find a sweet spot, please do so. Maybe there's even a little gentle twist here as you cross that left leg over your right. Whenever you feel ready, let's return to both feet planted, knees bent. Give yourself again another little wiggle or a little shake. And we'll meet again with legs up towards ceiling or sky. So literally kind of coming into that second side the same way, but maybe this time you take a quick pedaling walk. Maybe you give more focus to rolling around through the ankles. And whenever you're ready, the right foot will go back to the floor. The left leg will stay up. Again, maybe hands at your rib cage as we lower and lift the leg. So there's a lot of things happening here. I hope your hamstring is feeling a little length as the leg comes up. I do hope your hip flexor is activating to help with that lifting and lowering, and that you're feeling a little energy in your core to keep your torso stable. And then in your time, hi, Lois. Take some time to lower that leg all the way down to the ground. Take your time. And once it lands, see if you can just kind of into the floor. Step your right leg a little further to the right and let's sway the knee a little side to side. I love that wiggle, just maybe even for the lower back more than anything. And then the right knee will start to come in toward the chest. You can grab a hold of shin or back of thigh. You could be another ankle roller. You can be opening the hip to the right, crossing over, anything that's giving you that curious way to notice. Good morning, Gloria. Take a little time to breathe, to connect, to feel in. And then when you're ready, I'm going to actually connect now to full wind releasing hug. So that means both knees lifted, maybe grabbing shin or backs of thighs. I sometimes like to take the hips kind of open and in. So it might look like your knees are going out and in, but moving from the hips. You might rock and roll a little bit. I'm going to give you one more option before we come to be upright. I'm going to turn myself, keeping the legs up. Can you bring your arms to reach up toward the ceiling and then rock side to side? You're going to probably notice now without your arms, there's going to be that point where it's like, whoa, I'm about to roll over fully. Can you catch yourself right there? So this is probably more core than it is spine, because most of us can probably rotate further before we feel our spine, but use that energy of your core and don't forget to breathe. We said that was not optional, right? And then when you're ready, hug the knees in one more time and either roll to one side to bring yourself to be seated, or maybe you grab the backs of your thighs and tuck and rock and roll yourself up to face the front of your mat. Good morning again, everyone. It is a little jazz hands kind of day. We'll just, actually, if you do want to face the long edge of your mat, we're going to take the limbs out. So if it would be helpful to have long edge that you're facing, if that works for your visual. Good morning, Monique. Let's find, I guess I call it kind of half butterfly. So right knee will bend, left leg will extend. Give yourself a little wiggle, and that left or that right knee, please position your foot, bend the knee as much as feels comfortable here. We try to prep the knee when we're on our back. And then we'll work through the spine a bit. I'm going to turn and twist toward the left, kind of reach my right arm almost around my body. Face forward, drop the right hand and create a side bend, left arm up and kind of leaning over to the right. So once you kind of just get that little pattern, couple of things here. As you turn and twist to the left, you can stay upright. Maybe you take a slight hinge like you're going to reach toward the left foot, but keeping your spine really straight and strong. Could we eventually meet with your right hand down toward that side bend, but maybe you lift up your left hip and actually bring your right forearm down and just stretch a little longer. Oh, give into gravity a little bit here. Can you relax your legs just a bit? Try not to collapse, but feel some space. And then momentum pushing through right arm and left arm sweep. Bring yourself upright. Can we take that left leg, bend it, step the foot somewhere by your right leg, and take just one more gentle twist to the left? We sometimes use this similar shape at the end of practice to do a really like ring out twist. This is a high body twist. High body. Relax your shoulders, lengthen your neck, relax your jaw. And when you're ready, we'll unwind. I'm going to unwind the legs completely and give them a little shake straight, just because we did have knees bent quite a bit there. If you were with me earlier this week, we also did mummy shakes. We did them standing and sitting. Maybe you just want to do one of those. Oh, that's going to throw the bun all different directions. All right, now when we're ready, left leg bends, right leg straight. If I told you that's the sign when I know I need a haircut, is when I have the most unruly bun possible. Sitting up nice and tall in your sitting bones, facing kind of forward, like sitting toward your left heel. And then again, I'm going to rotate to look toward my left leg and kind of wrap my left arm around my body, and then take that side bend, left arm down, right arm up. Being just really intentional about how you're feeling in your spine. So hopefully it doesn't feel like stress or work, just awareness. And again, you could take a gentle kind of hinge out as you rotate toward that right leg, noticing how that's feeling into your back and your hamstring. And then we'll meet with that left hand down, but maybe you start to roll up on the right leg so you can slide your left forearm down and take a little bit more opening. Oh, I just had to soften my right quadricep. If that gives you a clue to just relax the legs a bit. And then pushing through left arm using right arm momentum. Can we help the right leg to bend and just kind of land the right foot anywhere, wherever it makes sense to be a little cross-leggedy, and we'll take a gentle twist. My right knee is up so I can give just a little connection of left hand to right thigh or right leg. Sitting really tall, full breath in, full breath out. And then we'll unwind the twist, unwind the legs. What else could you use while we're sitting? Maybe another mummy shake, maybe a wrist roll, maybe of your jaw. Maybe you just want to sit. Give a double thumbs up. We're going to make our way to tabletop pose as you are ready. Thanks for the thumbs up. As you settle in to face toward the front of your mat, making sure that you have room to move your hands forward and your body backwards. You're kind of right in the middle of your mat. And let's move through our cow and cat tabletop movements. Taking time to check back in. I know, we're already minutes into practice, and here we are really almost as a chance to re-check in. How are you? What are you noticing in your body? Maybe you close your eyes. Just an offer, I don't know about you all, but I tend to be really dynamic when we're in tabletop. So if you want to join me, I'm actually going to explore taking a few breaths to hold in cow. Kind of stretching heart forward. I do feel like my ribs are dropping down. Maybe imagine you could pull your palms toward your feet. I don't like to look up toward the sky. I like to keep my head kind of in line with my spine. Breathe. And then maybe contrast, cat spine hold. Really drop through your low belly. Press your shins to the mat. Create space between your shoulders and your ears. One more big breath in. And as you exhale, take a few more movements and shifting. And if you'd like to stay here off of the belly, you could drop to the forearms. If you might be interested in moving to the belly today for cobra variations, hands out, knee plank. Suggestion to lower like a push-up this first round, so elbows scrape the body. And then from the ground, lifting up. Maybe you lift and lower with your breath. Maybe that little curiosity of holding in tabletop, you lift and you pause. If you're on the forearms, it's just a way to give a different perspective to movements and a break to the wrists if being on the belly doesn't feel right this morning. Can we meet back in tabletop pose as you're ready? Take a tuck in of the elbows, take a lift up, and we'll find a puppy pose, stretching spine, curling toes under and tabletop, hands go forward. Really feel that stretch out of your fingertips. Let your head give into gravity. Sometimes a slight cow and cat movement here can create that awareness of where your spine really wants to be. Sometimes, admittedly, I'm a little bit more cow-like here, where my ribs are kind of softening toward the legs. Take a breath in that feels like something can create space, and a breath out where something can get a little softer. And then when you're ready, we're going to come back to tabletop pose. We're going to work into a hip opener so we can prepare for actually kind of a deeper variation of child's pose. You can be in tabletop. I'm going to actually opt for the forearms just to, again, kind of give the wrists a break. If you're coming to the forearms, let's actually put the left knee kind of more under the center of your body, and then we lift up the right leg. So if you're in tabletop, lifting open through the right hip. If you are on the forearms, there's going to be a little downward slant. Your head is kind of below your heart here, so just acknowledge that might feel a little head heavy. I like to straighten and bend the legs sometimes here. When I'm on forearms, I don't usually make hip circles, but you certainly can. When you feel ready, slow rewind back to both knees down. Maybe widen them briefly if you're on forearms, maybe a quick cow and cat. We're going to go right to the second side. So nice neutral spine. Left knee centers, probably if you're on the forearms. I just feel more stable that way. Left leg will lift. And again, you can do this from the hands. It's just a way of taking a different vantage point in the body. It's not making your practice better or worse, whatever you're choosing. Take a few more rounds of breath, maybe an extend and bend of the left leg. Find that length in your neck. And then when you're ready, let's rewind. Let's take the knees wide, feet close, and let's see if we can come into a child's pose. So we've done a bit now to warm the knees and the hips. So seeing how it feels to kind of create that low sensation. I think most of us widen the knees so there's space really for your belly and torso to surrender toward the floor. Take a little breath here. And then as you're ready, we'll come back up to tabletop pose. Taking just a moment to bring the knees like tabletop and see how it feels to actually sit back on your feet just briefly. Giving a break to the upper body. You might keep some weight on your fingertips. You might be able to sit all the way up. So we're going to work through the shoulder and the spine and then create just maybe a slight variation in our table or in our child's pose. Shaheen, good morning. I did not say hi. Let's crawl our way back to tabletop pose. I'm going to face you. Can we go right arm lifted, kind of twist up and open, sweep under like thread the needle? Can you open back out to the side, but then turn your palm up, bring the top of your right hand to the small of your back and lift? We're going to do that one more time. Unwind, sweep under like thread the needle. Take that right arm out to the side, turn the palm to the ceiling, thumb behind you, land the right hand at the small of your back and open up a little twist. From here, can you level back down? Keep the right hand where it is if that works for you. Can you widen the knees? Can you attempt to sit back? I'm keeping that right hand at my back. Maybe you go single arm reaching forward child's pose. If the position of your right hand feels icky or being one-armed doesn't give you something valuable, you could actually let your right arm kind of land next to your body, facing toward your feet, or come back to a regular child's pose. Just taking this one-sided opportunity with a little bit of a bind in that right shoulder. Take a breath in and a breath out. Let's bring our way back, forward, unwind, tabletop pose. Take a little movement here, cows, cats, kind of rinse that out, and we'll do the other side right away. So little shoulder mobility, little variation. Tabletop pose. Left arm reaches up, opening to the left. Take a sweep under like thread the needle. Take that left arm back out to the side, turn your palm to the ceiling, top of left hand lands somewhere at the small of your back and give a little push into that hand to rotate your left shoulder up and open. And we'll do one more round. Rotate back down, left arm will sweep under like thread the needle. Open back up, left palm toward the ceiling, thumb toward your feet, hand at the top of or small of your back, rotate open. And then we'll temporarily level back out, maybe keep the hand there as you widen the knees, sit back toward your feet first, and then slide your right hand forward to see about that kind of single arm child's pose. And again, your left arm can kind of land and drape next to your body or come back to a regular child's pose. So there's a little bit of difference here, right? And how that support and weight is landing in one arm, just noticing what there is to notice and send a breath somewhere. When you're ready, let's unwind. Let's come back to tabletop. Quick suggestion, one block or dumbbell, maybe next to your right hand. Let's start this hip exploration with this concept of nerve flossing, shall we? All right, let's meet on the knees. If you want to sit back on the feet for a few moments before you head to the knees, great. If you want to do kind of a spine wave to come to the knees, that's great too. If you sat for a few moments, let's meet lifted on the knees as you're ready. If it would feel lovely to take a reach up, a stretch up, hands to heart, or a little rotation. Heather, I never said good morning to you either. And when you're ready from knees, shifting a little bit more weight into your right knee, let's step your left foot forward. Take some time to move here. And this is what we're going to do is just kind of hang out, shifting hips forward and back. You could have your hands at your heart. You could have your hands at your hips. My hope is as you hinge forward that your spine doesn't even look like it's changing position whatsoever. And maybe when you draw your weight back, there's like this brief moment where you squeeze into your right glute muscle and get that hip flexor just a little bit longer. When you're ready, we're going to pause, weight back over the right knee, and we're going to slowly walk the left foot around. I'm going to start to face you. So it turns to the left side, almost in line with your right knee. Walk it out pretty far, and let's start to send the hips out and in. And the option is to add, as you draw back toward the right knee, a straightening of that left leg. So it's sort of a half split variation, but we're a bit angled in the body. Please feel free to walk that left foot further out. Just really create space for that softening and that hip sit kind of sitting back at the diagonal. We're going to pause fully in mini warrior 2. Left knee's bent, weight kind of over the right knee. Warrior 2 arms, where we stretch them kind of front to back. Can you maybe even roll the shoulders, set the shoulders away from your ears? Feel a little press forward of your right hip flexor. Maybe you look down your left fingertips and just make one of those faces that's like, you just have no idea how strong I am. Maybe you give it one eyebrow. There's that face. And when you're ready, turn back to face the front, hands briefly at heart. Can you straighten the left leg and turn the left toes to face forward? Kind of get grounded here, elbows wide. We're going to take a side bend to the right. Come back up and then gently twist to the left. So if you've been with me where we've talked about sneaky core, maybe it doesn't feel so sneaky and it feels obvious, but this is the real core work. Can you feel that place where everything catches? Can you try not to use your left leg? Take a few more rounds here. And then when you're ready, spine is tall. We're going to hinge and land the hands down. You might grab your block along the way. Send the hips back. Landing hands, keeping the legs where they are. I do like using a block here. Take a few moments to shift, especially in your spine. Perhaps some cows and cats, just to check back in of what's going on in your back body. Suggestion here. As we send the hips maybe back and front, when my hips go back, I'm going to turn my left hip open so it looks like my toes are going toward the ceiling, and then I'm going to shift it back down as I come forward. So it looks like, again, my foot is moving, but I'm trying to really turn at the left hip as I go back. So this is one of these ideas of called nerve flossing, where instead of really stretching, we're moving in ways that massage out some of those nerves in the lower back that can get grouchy. And then when you're ready, shoulders over wrists, let's thank our spine. Right hand stays down. Let's just take a little twist to the left. Left arm can stay up. You might come onto your right fingertips. Feel some space here, but can you also find some ease? What would that feel like? One more breath in, big breath out. Let's unwind to bring left hand back down. Shifting weight toward right knee. Can we free up that left foot and meet in tabletop with the left leg kicking long behind you? Hands might come off of your block now. Stay here, feeling like your spine is neutral. Tuck up through your low ribs. Tiger pose. Bend the left knee. Flex your foot. It's kind of like a donkey kick. Can you try to kick a hole in the ceiling or sky while you lift your heart like cow pose? So it is hopefully feeling like you're giving a squeeze and an activation across the muscles of the small of your back. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Carefully return to tabletop pose. Give yourself a moment to land. And then what could you use to rinse all of that out? Do you want to take some time in cows and cats and go to another child's pose? Would you like to take more time in any cobra variations? Knowing we're going to stay grounded a bit longer, you could certainly find a downward facing dog here if you're realizing, oh my gosh, that would feel amazing to do that. Or a puppy pose. Or maybe you've been enjoying those opportunities to sit back on your feet. Breath, space, gathering more awareness of how you're feeling and what you're noticing. And maybe a little moment of appreciation for yourself being here. Whenever you're ready, we're going to meet back in tabletop pose to find that exploration on the other side. I'm going to set my block next to my left hand just so I have the ability to grab it when it might be helpful. And then eventually we're on the knees. Do
Do you want to again take a moment to sit back on the feet? Maybe you curl the toes under this time and take that brief pass at a toe squat to see how that's feeling today. With any activities, come to the knees sooner rather than later. Eventually, that's where we meet. Maybe there's a breath involved, a reach, maybe some movements of your head, neck, and shoulders. Maybe after the week you've had, you really want to practice saying no for a second. And then when you're ready, a little more weight in your left knee, stepping right foot forward. Take a little time here again to shift. Don't be afraid to move that right foot further forward. And then this is just the suggestion, is to kind of stay and play with what you can feel when the hips are softened forward versus when they're drawing back, spine not even moving. And as we talked about before, linger somewhere if you realize there's a spot where you just want to hold for a breath or two. And then when you're ready, weight is back over left knee, so we can start to take that walk of the right foot. So your right hip is going to slowly open. Can you feel that? Right toes out to the side. You're still facing the front of your mat, and we send the hips out and in. I'm going to face you to be a better visual partner. And then again, that option as you draw back toward left leg is to maybe extend your right leg and kind of sit back at the diagonal for that variation of half split. So you might feel the right hamstring. You might feel kind of a hinge at the waist, but heart stays really tall. And then we'll find our mini warrior two. So bending back into right leg, I'm going to bring my right foot a little closer, weight kind of more over the left knee, arms side to side. Maybe you turn your head, look down those right fingertips. Can you keep opening your right knee toward your right pinky toe? Press your left hip forward, create that face. You know the face, right? Don't mess with me. Are you sending it to anything in particular? When you're ready, turn to face forward, hands to heart, lengthen your right leg, toes facing forward, elbows wide. When you're ready, hinging to the left like a side bend, straight spine, turn and rotate toward your right leg. So yes, we are using the legs as support, but notice if your right leg is like the crux of this, can you let it be your full torso? Can you soften your right leg a little bit and take on some of that strength around the midline of your body? When you're ready, we face forward, hands to heart. Legs will stay. We're going to hinge back to land the hands. Maybe you bring in your block or your dumbbell. Take a little time here to feel into this shape. I usually cow and cat a little bit to make sure my back feels neutral. So I don't want to be cow or cat. And then remember that option, hips go back and maybe you turn the right hip. So as my hips go forward, my right arch of foot is kind of flat. And then as I go back, I'm turning the hips so it looks like my toes are turning toward the ceiling. And just notice, does that give value to you? Does it create something interesting where you've been, oh, I've not done that before? Take a few more rounds of breath. Shoulders over wrists. Let's thank our spine for all the support. Left hand stays down, open and twist to the right. I'm choosing right arm up. You can put it to your hip if you'd like. Coming to left fingertips maybe, so you use a big lift of your spine, your torso. Take a cleansing breath in. As you exhale next, return right hand back down. We're going to try to free up right foot off the floor so we can meet in tabletop with the right leg kicking long. Hands will come off of block or dumbbell. Pause here. Lift up through your low ribs. Bend the right knee. Kick that foot toward the ceiling, maybe a cow-like spine, tiger pose. Notice if your right knee feels like it's turned out, can you tuck it directly under? Maybe that little pull of your palms toward your feet like we tried in steady cow pose earlier. Breathe. And then slow return. We just gave a lot of strength to the lower back. So let that land in tabletop. Literally take a breath or two. And then what's your flow? Do you want to take time again to move around in tabletop? Do you want to come to the forearms? Do you want to head straight to child's pose? Oh, take your time with as much movement as feels right. Variations of cobra, right? This repertoire now that you have, that I hope you start to feel that empowerment of, yes, I'm going to choose what makes sense. Tuning into the body. Whenever you feel ready. Let's meet briefly in tabletop. Just a quick prop setup. I'm going to keep one block toward the top of my mat, and I'm going to send one of them kind of back near my right foot. We're going to go towards standing, but we're going to go backwards to the back of your mat with an option for downward facing dog along the way. So spreading fingers wide in tabletop, curl toes under, feel that lift and drive of your tailbone, bend through the knees, and then make adjustments right away. Maybe your hands want to go wider or your feet want to go wider. Maybe you're realizing, oh, I don't know if this actually feels valuable or delicious to my body today. Keep the knees down. Maybe you pedal. Maybe you shake the head yes and no. Inviting you, if you've been moving in down dog, find just a breath or two in stillness. Really let the head go heavy. Press your ribs toward your thighs. And then we're going to walk hands toward the feet. I like to widen my feet a little bit as I get there. You might head straight to ragdoll since we're kind of in that low position. Grab your block if that would be helpful. Maybe you come to more of a halfway lift. Just lifting chin and heart. You can still be hinged quite a bit at the waist. You don't have to be parallel to the floor with your spine. Take a few more rounds of breath and whatever's feeling lovely to your hamstrings, your back, your head. We stand when you're ready. Roll up slow head last or reverse swan dive. Take some time to grow. Feel your feet press through the floor. Can you feel how dramatic it is to be standing? It's been quite a while since you were standing up. Suggestion is to get that block actually that's back with you out of the way if it ended up on your mat. You are at the back of your mat, feet hip distance apart, rooting through your right foot. Can you lift and stair step the left knee? I'm going to start to face you for a brief amount of time here. Invite is to create a hip opener instead. So you might use your left hand to turn the knee open, flex your foot. I like right arm as a counterbalance. Left knee soft. You can always move around your space to hold something. You might turn and look down your right arm. That usually challenges my balance more because your gaze just turned. Take a few more breaths. Could you rewind to bring the knee back in front first and then take a step forward, left foot? Let's find a high crescent stance. So you're gonna have to probably readjust your feet. Maybe you're up on the back tippy toes, maybe your foot flattens. Can you lift your shoulders and tuck your hips so your spine is really straight? As much bend of the knees as you would like. Hands at heart, twist to the left. I'm gonna face you. Taking some time to rinse out the spine. Feel a breath to grow and extend and lengthen. Exhale to soften your jaw and your shoulders. Use your hips as a base to rotate your torso, tuck in at the low ribs. And then we'll unwind to face forward, flatten your right foot if it's not. Can we turn our torso to face the right side of your space and get your feet more in a balance beam? We're gonna set up for triangle. So left toes are forward, right toes are angled. You might use that block or dumbbell if you like. I'm gonna bring hands to hips and I'm gonna hinge at the waist. And actually I like to come up and take a few kind of preparatory hinges, like I'm trying to drop my left ear toward my left foot. Knees are bent, hips are maybe angled kind of slightly forward or to the side. And the next time you hinge, slide your left arm down your left leg and maybe stretch your right arm toward the ceiling. Or if you enjoyed that half bind from earlier, your palm could turn behind you and you could press top of right hand at the small of your back. Gently push into both hands. Can you turn your torso a little bit more toward the right side? Maybe you look up over your right shoulder and breathing not optional. Take a big breath in, big breath out. Power through the feet, rise up, maybe stretch up, reach up, hands to heart, turn fully to the right side, toes out, heels in. Option for multitasking goddess. I'm gonna sit down in the legs like goddess. Give yourself a little wiggle. I'm gonna go cactus arms. And I'm gonna do little side bends, little oblique crunches. So this becomes a distraction for me that I stop noticing my legs, but keep energizing the hips open. And you can come out of this and do the side bends. You can lift and lower, right? Listen to your body. Take a few more rounds of breath. And when you feel ready, let's push through the feet to rise up, lift up. Can we bring the feet in by going toes in, then heels in, then toes in, and heels in? And we're gonna turn to face the front of your mat. Your left foot's still in front, but can you flip your right toes upside down? Oh, I just had about 17 cracks there. Take a little moment to stretch the foot. Sometimes I teach right when we do this, I can just see the faces of like, yeah, I kind of just needed this moment to stretch the toes. And then when you're ready, right foot next to left, and let's take a little march to the back of your mat. Because I moved forward, you probably did too. Maybe you take a couple of heel kicks, maybe you take a couple of rotations of your spine. If you're with me earlier in the week and we did the mummy shakes, maybe you take a couple mummy shakes. Oh, there goes the bun again. And then when you're ready, we'll work the second side. So you're back at the back of your mat. Did you smile one time? Even just once? Okay. Let's root down through your left foot. Lift and stair step the right knee. Start to feel that softness in your face, but maybe you've got that same little face like you just have no idea what I've got going on here. And when you're ready, maybe you turn the hip open. I like using my right hand just as a little guide. I like left arm opposite direction to almost be a counterbalance. Flex your right foot. That usually helps to keep things more stable. Maybe you turn to look down your left arm. That will often make me wobble more. And worst thing, right? The foot falls. Meh. Don't be afraid to wobble. That's where goodness comes from. Let's bring the knee back in front, hands to heart, briefly pause. And then we're going to land and take a step of that right foot forward and set up for high crescent. So you might be up on the back tippy toes. You might flatten the foot, but I hope it feels like your hips are facing forward. And again, can you lift up your upper body and maybe tuck your hips so you feel really straight from hips to head, hands at heart, and we'll twist to the right. Use your legs as the start of that rotation. So really purposefully kind of sending hip energy forward, stable, and then grow your twist from there by tucking in at the low ribs and check with your breath. Big breath in, big breath out. Turn back to face the front. Flatten your left foot. We're going to turn our body to face the left to set up for triangle. I'm going to face you. Your right toes are still facing the front of your mat. Your left foot tucked behind. Again, option if you want to join me, hands at hips, knees feel slightly bent always. I'm going to hinge and come back. So I'm kind of shoving my left hip up toward the ceiling and kind of bringing my right ear toward the floor and just noticing the angle of the hips. And when you're ready, we pause in our hinge. Slide your right arm down wherever it goes. Left arm might go up toward the sky or ceiling, or maybe you half bind. So you're going to rotate at the shoulder, palm behind you, top of left hand at small of back. Notice if your knees start to lock out. Can you stretch your spine longer from tailbone to crown? Maybe you push into both hands to rotate your body a little bit more open, left shoulder coming behind you. Breathe. And then we power through the feet to rise up, reach up, stretch up, exhale, hands to heart. Turn all 10 toes fully to the left, toes out, heels in. What would you like to do with Goddess? Do you want to come into classic Goddess and kind of hold with cactus arms and maybe you're a wiggler? Maybe you'd like to revolve your Goddess where your spine and shoulders could use some of those snaking movements. Maybe you feel better being upright and you want to take some side bends and not be in Goddess legs. I know, choices galore, and I hope you were able to literally just tune out my words and you landed somewhere that makes sense for you. Whenever you feel satisfied, we'll power through the feet to lift up. Let's go again. Toes in, heels in, a little ankle work. Bring your feet underneath the hips. Turn back to face the front of your mat. Your right foot is still in front, so we can flip the left toes over. Oh, left foot. Give a little wiggle, a little shift. You can just see on your faces, there's just this something is happening, but like not much is happening. Can you feel that? If someone looked at us like, what are you even doing? So many things. And then when you're ready, left foot next to right. If you want to take a little march, a little shake, a little rotate, maybe a mummy shake, maybe a mountain pose, and your body just says, oh, just pause for a second. Whatever it is that you could use while we finish our standing, let's meet at the top of your mat. You're probably almost there, but we'll make our way back down high to low. So here from the top of your mat, let's take a stretch up and a reach up and a thoughtful hinge. What might you use here? A halfway lift, maybe a rag doll. You might have that block or dumbbell there that we set from the beginning. Take some time here at the top of your mat. You could bend and extend the legs, maybe elephant walks where the heart is up and you kind of bend one leg and then the other. Whenever you're ready to make your way back to tabletop, take your time. Let's kind of sit into the legs, sending one limb down at a time, backing up and away from the top of your mat so you can be in tabletop pose briefly and then take your time to shift and move and flow or not. You might be ready to go straight to child's pose. Your body might be craving one more opportunity in a downward facing dog. What are you noticing serves you here? Feel free to sit back on the feet. Feel free to move as much as is working for you. Taking time to land. I do recommend that you find just a few breaths in stillness wherever it's working for you. And then when you're ready, no rush at all. Let's meet back in tabletop pose. To drop to a hip, we'll come to sit with feet at the top of your mat. We're going to explore kind of hips, quadriceps, a variation of what we'll call half hero pose. I'm going to face you. This becomes, again, one of those things where you're not trying to get a certain place. My hope is you're like, ooh, that is the place I want to land and stay. All right, here we go. Lean back a little bit. Let's go right leg straight. I'm going to step my left foot out a little wider, and I'm going to focus on those inward hip drops a couple of times. So again, it looks like I'm dropping my right knee or left knee in, but I'm trying to turn at the left hip. So one suggestion is that you hold in that dropped in position. Oh, I saw that, Courtney. I always know you'll make a face during this pose. Oh, that kind of feels lovely. Linger here if it's feeling like something is happening in that hip. Maybe you decide you want to do a little bit more for knee and quadriceps. So I'm going to actually bend my knee quite a bit more, and you might help the top of the left foot rotate down. So that will shift quite a bit typically into quadricep and knee. So if you enjoy the hip stretch more, stay there. If you're not feeling a lot here, that might mean there's space to lean back. So I find if I lean back a little bit, the knee wants to lift, so I can create more space to soften it down. You could come down to the right forearm, maybe the left, and this does not become like a limbo contest, right? The goal is to not be laying flat on the ground. If you can, great, but we're not defined by where we land here. And again, if your hip was enjoying that hip stretch, like, yay, I'm gonna go back there for a few breaths. Take a few more rounds of breath wherever you'd like to be. Maybe you're staying in half hero. Maybe you returned back to that hip stretch. Now, especially if you lowered down, let's be thoughtful about coming back up. I like to roll more toward my right leg to press up. Let's help that left leg to come unwound. Bend both knees. Windshield wiper sways. Now, because we were inward with the left hip, there, can we meet with both knees over to the right briefly? If you'd like to stay here and kind of let that deer pose land, if you want to find a little back bend, I'm going to press my right hand into the floor and actually lift the shape up, lift the hips. And hopefully this feels like a place where you might be able to stay for a few breaths if you're up there. Use the press of your hips. I'm not pushing through my knees or even my right arm necessarily. If you lifted, thoughtfully lower down, and we'll all unwind from deer to then maybe take both legs straight again and give them a little wiggle. Did you find a couple of places where your body was like, yeah? That's always my hope, is somewhere in there you found that little inclination of that's the thing that I want to do right now. So give yourself that same freedom on this side, knowing it could very likely be something different. Left leg will stay straight, right knee will bend. I'm going to step it a little further to the right, and I'm going to lean back just a little bit and let the knee go in. Oh, yeah, I really have zero poker face with this movement. I know it becomes such an interesting reminder. We don't move the hips in this way very much, but they are designed to go this way. So if you're finding that sweet spot to hold, go ahead. And I'll offer some of those different ways to shift this, again, depending on what the needs are for you. If your hip is enjoying this, please linger. If you want to explore, maybe trying to help the right knee to bend more, and there's almost like a tuck of the top of the right foot down. To me, that usually makes it more hip flexor and kind of outer quadricep. And if sitting upright like this doesn't give you as much stretch as maybe there is for range of motion, again, you could start to lower. I typically will go left forearm down first, maybe right. Maybe you can lay back a bit, maybe not. And again, if you're preferring that hip inward direction, just kind of notice your spine, notice your neck, your jaw. If anything just got strangely tight for no reason, for all the reasons, come back to noticing. Take a few more rounds of breath. As I shared on Thursday, my continued obsession to make sure we don't ever rush the second side. No, no, no. If you are down on your forearms in any way, you might put more weight into your left arm, carefully to come up. Help wherever those legs were to unwind, plant both feet. Let's keep using that inward direction. Couple of windshield wipers. to drop both knees to the left, deer pose. I'm sitting up, so my weight is more into my left hip, kind of letting this land. This is a soothing shape to stay. You might find that little back bend where you press through your left arm and your hips, literally kind of driving your hip bones forward. You might fall back a little bit in your upper body. I hope it just kind of comes in to feel what makes sense. Don't feel like you're putting yourself into a pose. And when you're ready, we slowly will lower down. If there was a lift, we will unwind from deer pose if we went there. Legs go straight. Give it a little wiggle. Maybe a time to roll the wrists. We'll start to return to our back, where we'll check in with hamstrings and kind of our classic figure 4. So you don't really need any props necessarily, but as always, this is your time to gather up what might feel lovely, especially as we come to rest. I'm going to have feet at the top of the mat, and we'll meet on our backs, however you want to get there. Maybe you're going to do kind of a slow unpeel. I like using a little bit of core and a little bit of leg to hold, to unwind. Once you return to your back, maybe that's the frame, is just acknowledging, I'm here. I'm back here on the ground. Take a little time and space to wiggle, to move. Maybe at this point your body is craving a full body stretch. I do sometimes like to check with that shape, but I often like being more star-like than pencil. My back kind of prefers the legs a little wider. So just noticing if that feels in service to you, maybe arms moving or stretching, anything that feels lovely. And in your time, when you're ready, we'll meet with both feet planted, knees bent. Let's start with the left leg. Why not? Bringing left knee in. Extend left leg up towards ceiling or sky. And bringing fingertips just to rest comfortably. Maybe they're kind of both at the back of your thigh. I like bringing one set of fingertips above the knee, one below. Can you press your left hip into the floor? Can you flex your left foot? That sometimes makes more hamstring stretch for me when I drive my heel to the ceiling. Trying to straighten the leg as much as you can. If you're able to lock out that leg though, don't lock it. And then maybe there's a gentle pull. If you start to pull and the knee bends, I wouldn't pull, because then you're actually losing the hamstring energy. The straighter that leg goes, that's really the place where we'll find more stretch. You could even imagine that you're squeezing your left quadricep muscle. And then let's find a little softness in the knee. Can you turn your hip open? So rotate at the hip, left knee goes out to the side, and then we'll land left ankle on right thigh. Figure 4. You might find you want to walk your right foot further away. You might enjoy keeping the right foot down and maybe swaying. Listen to your body here, not your brain. Maybe you want to lift the legs off the floor, and you could do that kind of interlace at the back of the left thigh. I hope, again, your body is telling you things. Maybe your body's saying, oh my gosh, will you just sway with the right foot down? Maybe your body needs that kind of pull and push sensation of this stretch. Send a few breaths again to places that you're noticing. Maybe you send a breath into the outer left hip. Maybe you send a breath to the small of your back. Maybe you send a breath back into your brain if you've had some storytelling going on today. And then in your time, we rewind. So it might mean putting the right foot back on the floor, unhooking. What would it feel like to land both feet and try not to move? Let your shoulders go really heavy. Let your belly soften. You might kind of feel your knees start to just drift open. And then if there is a little movement that kind of helps you rinse, I'm just going to roll my weight kind of hip bone to hip bone, maybe another full body stretch since we've had the knees bent for quite a while. And then we'll go to the second side. Give yourself yoga amnesia, as we like to say, as you lift the right knee in and extend the right leg up. Hamstrings are often a little imbalanced. So as you settle in here, maybe just gently starting to touch fingertips. I'm not pulling, I'm just letting my fingertips rest. As I root the right hip into the floor, flex your right foot. And again, this kind of idea of opposing muscle groups. If you're squeezing to contract your right quadricep, the hamstring will lengthen since they're on opposite sides of your body. Maybe there's a little pull on the leg, but if you pull and you find you have to bend the knee, you're going to actually lose some of the stretch. So any little pull maintains the straightest leg that you can without locking the knee. How's your breathing? We do all this kind of focusing on the subtleties, and sometimes our breath gets a little choppy. And then we'll soften into the right knee, let the hip open, and then resting right ankle on left thigh. Oh, breathe. Maybe a sway. Reposition your left foot. It might want to go further away. Give your body space. Maybe you want to lift up. Again, notice that temptation to rinse and repeat. Notice if your brain says, we need to do the same thing. You do not. You really do not. When it comes to outer hips as well, lower back, sometimes there's things that are feeling different on each side of the body. Enjoy some breath here where we really get to linger and take these stretches without rush. Quite often it's our brain that's ready to leave well before our body is. And then in your time, it's just a thoughtful rewind. So we eventually will step the left foot back down if it was lifted on cross. What about that same offer to let the feet land and to try to just pause? Give into gravity. Just let your body be absorbed. And then perhaps a little sway, offering just a few moments, returning with the legs up so we can just flip ourselves upside down one more time. Lifting the knees, legs go up. You might lift up your tailbone to kind of place a little kickstand of your hands under the small of your back, like a little diamond shape. When we did this earlier, we were really trying to stretch and create space. I hope this feels almost weightless. Maybe your legs sway a little side to side or front to back. Your eyes might close. I love bringing my attention to my heart. Here, you might feel the fact that there's blood rushing back into your heart from your legs. Maybe you feel some of that same blood rush toward your head. Take a few more breaths here, or of course, as we start to shift toward rest, if this is feeling really restorative, there is no need to move or change. But if you're ready, bending legs, maybe you take your hands out from under you first if they were there before setting your feet down. And then what else could you use? As your feet land, your body might be saying, oh yeah, I'm so ready for rest. You might need a little extra movement or a little move or a stretch or a shake. Trying to create that space where your body feels most available for stillness. Shavasana is where it all comes together. In some ways, this can be dismissed as just sleep or nothingness. This is the place, this is everything. This is the work of our practice to give our bodies and brains permission to press pause and to give ourselves the full opportunity to absorb everything that happened in this class we might be aware of and the things we're not. Sometimes the emotional journey we take in practice is hidden by the physical aspect, but this is where it all comes to land. Your time, your space, your breath. As you bring it all together and rest, I will go off camera ever so briefly, and I will bring you back after a few more quiet moments.
there's a gentle invitation to bring some more awareness back. And noticing where that awareness may be coming from. Perhaps you were feeling almost that yoga power nap. Perhaps you were feeling a bit restful, but also a stir in your mind. However this Shavasana was for you, know that it matters. Having taken this time, I hope you truly do thank yourself for carving out not only time for this entire practice, but this time and rest. Knowing that you can stay and linger. Knowing that you've got the space and the time if you'd like to bring yourself back, whatever that means. I encourage you to keep your eyes closed if that feels available. Maybe you're finding movement or the curiosity route to reposition yourself. Know that I'm here seated, eyes closed. You're more than welcome to join me upright or not. As always, the only mandate is that you breathe. Maybe you're drawing some more awareness to your breath, especially if you're upright. If you'd like to bring both hands over your heart, taking time to re-engage with your breathing. Just think about your inhale moving in your body. Notice how your exhale leaves your body. Taking 2 more breaths, fully enveloped with your brain, concentrating and riding that wave with you. And then we return to our natural cadence of breath, maybe to press both palms together, thumb knuckles over your third eye space. I thank you. I hope, again, you are thanking yourselves. And I wish you so much peace and ease in your body and your mind. And as always, acknowledging there is love and light in me that sees, honors, and bows in gratitude to the love and light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Thank you all so much for sharing some weekend space.